In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to a place at the table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
I am so glad you could take up your seats at the table today. We have a potpourri for you, and I open with my topic, POS, like Agege bread. Any thoughts, Bryce?
Funke, what has POS got to do with Agege bread? I wait to hear more. Meanwhile, I'm all about reshaping our economy.
That's right. I'm all ears when it comes to the matters of our economy. I will be addressing the economy of the church in my advocacy, the church and accountability.
Yinka, I'm hoping you'll be equally attentive to my advocacy because it concerns you. I'm saying men need to talk too.
Tell them, Zumah, if they won't come at you. My advocacy is directed at all of us, especially those of us in the holier-than-thou club. I'm asking, whose side are you really on? Are you on God's side?
Well, Kate, you put all of us on notice, and we better sit up. I'm laying my matter right on the table after the break. Recently, I moderated Rescue Nigeria's People's Parliament, a bi-monthly discussion of Nigeria's challenges with the intent to profile solutions. We looked at issues with banking in Nigeria. The main challenges identified were government policies, technology, infrastructural challenges, problematic transfers, high interest rates, and the judicial system. The central bank was blamed for ineffective supervision and monitoring, thereby enabling gross indiscipline, unethical practices, the dearth of loans for SMEs, and lack of marketing and competition. Now, increasing customer dissatisfaction prevails in the Nigerian banking sector daily. Nigerians are avoiding or abandoning visiting ATM machines because often cash is not dispensed. The same with cashless transfers via mobile devices. When transactions are reversed, one gets no notification to that effect. Same with transactions done, yet the recipient gets nothing on his side. And then the back and forth begins between the banks and the customers for days. What is worse, both the sender and receiver are charged for the transaction. And then on weekends, they deduct money under the guise of maintenance fee. There is no end to the deductions from our banks under different guises. No wonder they declare humongous profits. How explainable is it that ATM machines, some right in front of banks, don't work, yet POS operators dispense money to customers beside these banks and everywhere? The lowest charge is 200 naira for a 10,000 naira withdrawal, and the charge is higher depending on location. Now, what irks me most is the ubiquitousness of POS, now hawked on Nigerian streets, especially Lagos. POS, POS, Agege bread, POS. What's the difference? The availability is great, but it has killed the short-lived culture of using ATMs. Let's call a spade a spade. Your services are progressively dismal. Nigerians will tell you without batting an eye the top 5 most notorious banks which ATMs fail when making online payments at fuel stations or malls. Those banks will embarrass you. Now, Nigerian banks are criticizing fintechs for stepping up with efficient transfer services. Why? The curious thing is, these same banks are known for excellent services outside Nigeria, whether within Africa or outside the continent. Again, I ask, why? Right.
2 words: financial inclusion. A couple of years ago, Nigeria came up with a strategy for financial inclusion. And part of this strategy also requires for the decentralization of the whole process of, payments, from banks and banking halls. And one of the strategy really is around making sure that these services, banking services, traditional banking services, are felt in the hinterlands, in the rural areas. And so POS agents are not really supposed to be very visible in urban areas like Lagos. They're supposed to be seen in rural areas and to provide a service, and they do provide a service. I think the challenges we are talking about here basically came out of the issues that came out of the change in the currency and the impact it had, because essentially POS agents that used to be on the fringes became the main source of cash for a lot of Nigerians. From there, they've taken a larger-than-life, appearance, And I'll be honest with you, even me, I can't remember the last time I went to
the ATM machine.
To the ATM machine. I just go to the POS agent next to me, and I get my cash. And it's faster, it's convenient, it's close to me, I don't have issues.
So it's surprising that after 15 years, the Nigerian banks are still unable to hack electronic business. Because there's no reason in 2024 why we still have to be dealing with your card getting stuck on the ATM machine. The system is so inefficient. But I'm aligned with Yinka on why the POS machines, the POS agents, they are everywhere. Two things, the cashless policy and financial inclusion. When the POS agents became a thing at all, it was largely due to enable the financially excluded to have access to payment, simple banking services in and out, and also to take the banking closer to the people. I'm sure on every street you can see like 2-3 POS machines. Before you see a bank, you get to the main road. So that is also one of the factors for the large adoption, wide adoption of the POS machine. And also there is a charge on large deposits. So when you say the POS agents, they're always having cash, it's largely because if you take a large amount of cash to the bank, they will tell you pay a certain percentage as processing fee. So again, it's a chicken and egg situation. The POS, they are not going anywhere anytime soon.
You'll be surprised to know that some banks or bankers have their own personal POS.
Oh yes. So
out
that's
there,
what I
okay?
am
Because it looks like they are the ones making it.
Because now they've rendered the ATMs ineffective. When there's always that kind of situation, be sure that some people are benefiting from it.
A lot of people are benefiting.
The bank reversal of your failed transaction, is that not how somebody stole 40 billion and ran away? Because nobody was checking. Let me not mention the bank. Now, I'm just saying that it's the anyhowness. You have a failed transaction at the ATM. You go into the bank, before they will even answer you is a problem. So people will not want to use the ATM. Yes. You go abroad to perform a transaction, you don't even see anybody at the teller. The machine is there, drop your money and be going. But here it's like, I don't know, some kind of situation where there is a kind of deficiency or proliferation, somebody is benefiting from it, and it's always the consumer that ends up losing. Because I don't like using POS, because I don't know, I don't want them to clone my card, because I hear they can do some stuff with your card. I don't like POS people, but a place that I visited last week, I tried to make a payment. They said their POS machine is not working. The girl went outside and called the POS guy.
That's what they do. It's a
and take the money.
Now.
So why do we have ATM machines? Why? And then there's maintenance charge, transfer, intra-bank and interbank, charge for your account, charge for your card, cleaning of the card, airing of the card. Like, every time you see all those charges, that's why they will be declaring profit. But the services are so abysmal, and then they'll be approaching you to open an account. We
have a culture of acceptability and adaptability. We just adapt to situations. I think that's one of the reasons why our service system is so poor because nobody holds anybody accountable. We just accept it. This is how it is. Nobody wants to go through the stress and all of that. And then you look at our justice system, so you say if you want to sue a bank, good luck to that.
Right? Meaning you will sleep
when
there.
you look at the things that support all of this, you discover that that's where the problem is.
Yes.
Then, I mean, like she said, at 2024, man, come on. We still have somebody with a POS and cash at 2024.
Nigeria.
Are we going forward? Are we going backwards?
Always back.
There's a bank that literally backdated their mobile application. I don't want to call the bank's name, but it's my bank.
Why can't you people call name? How do we get solution if we don't call them out?
Because I feel like it's free advert for them. But like,
Yeah.
they backdated their application because why? They couldn't pay developers, and developers left them and went to Canada.
Yeah.
I know the bank.
Exactly. So they
After you tell me after this time out.
So they
maybe
go
I'll
back.
close my account.
So normally you want to send money, it's easy. Now it's harder, right? And then there was a time. I mean, you said something about outside Nigeria they work better. Nah. I remember I was trying to use my card outside Nigeria. And I told them whenever I'm traveling, I'm like, okay, I'm going to this place, activate my card. And then I was trying to pay for Uber. And I couldn't even order the Uber in the first place. And I had to walk 30 minutes because I didn't have cash and I couldn't use my card. And then I called them and they said, they are going to send me a document and I have to approve. I'm like, what's the document about? They said, I have to approve that event happened to my money. It's
your business.
It's my business.
No, they didn't say that.
I'm telling you.
That's crazy.
Like I went back and forth with my.
Is that not strange?
I have a WhatsApp chat with my account officer that says I will send you this information, and they've done it before. I didn't even know what it was, and I approved it, and they scammed me over $4,000 on my
Okay.
because I said okay, I approve it so I can do an ad on Facebook, and they scammed me $4,000 on my Facebook page because they weren't able to protect me.
Poor customer service is often a progressive or even regressive culture. That is, if we fail to speak up, we should start speaking up.
Certainly, speaking up is where it starts. Today, we're digging deep into a topic that hits home for many of us: the vast potential of our youth and cultural industries to reshape our economy. Why are we, a nation so rich in culture and spirit, watching our potential get on planes, seeking greener pasture abroad? Our artists top global charts. Our athletes break records. Our tech gurus innovate solutions that dazzle the world. Yet, the land that gave them these roots reap no reward. It's time to ask, why not here? Consider this. Global sports and entertainment are more than just games and songs. They're $1 billion industry. Just last week, Burna Boy sold out 80,000 capacity stadium in the UK. While it was a win for Afrobeat, it was a huge boom for the UK local economy. Imagine if every major Afrobeat concert happened right here in Lagos. Picture the bustling activities, the jobs springing up, the world's eyes turning to us. Look at Portugal, hosting Afro Nation, turning itself into a pulsing hub every summer with thousands flocking in. But why not Nigeria? Rwanda has strategically built infrastructure to support the NBA Basketball African League tournament. This isn't just a sporting event. It's a magnet drawing global attention and money, significantly boosting Rwanda's economy every year. Then there's Botswana, a visionary in its own right. They secured the right to host the Forbes Summit for 3 years, investing around $10 million. The payoff? They sparked hundreds of millions in investment, boosting their startup ecosystem by over 1,000% and turned the world's eyes towards them as a prime destination for business and tourism. So what's our move? It starts with investment, real investment in sport complexes, concert halls, film studios, and tech hubs. It continues with policies, smart, supportive policies that back local content and creators. And it ends with us, the youth, the heartbeat of this nation. It's time to champion our homegrown talent, to consume local, promote local, and build local. Let's envision Nigeria as the premier destination for sports, entertainment, and cultural events. By focusing on what we excel at, we can redefine our economic landscape. Let's make Nigeria the stage where the world comes to play, to discover, to invest.
To invest, they are going. They are leaving. Not just the companies, the people. They are going. Before they used to be here. You said sports complex, concert halls, film, National Theatre, one word. What happened? World-class theatre even has an ascending and descending state, left to become a relic of itself. We don't value these things, which is where the real money... We're still going for oil, still borrowing money from IMF, still doing luxury cars, but not looking inwards. Innocent vehicles is there, but no, the eye is still big. You expect the citizens to tighten their belt, but you lawmakers and the rest of you up there, your eye is outside. We don't look inwards. We have everything here. I was talking with you last week about the leather fair. We talked about it coming back. Fantastic designs. The leather is ours, and they are good. How many people are promoting it? How is the government supporting it? How is enabling? Is the environment? The airport, stinky. Have you not arrived at our airport? The toilet is stinky. It's dirty. The carousel looks like it's a grinding machine turning the thing going around. The flaps are all off. We do not have the spirit of excellence. Why is the world going to come here? For what? When they can go to a better place, clean, there's security, Bonner boys, you think Tafa Balewa, the area boys will not take over that place and divest people of their belongings? Please, let's be real. When we are serious, when we decide to be excellent in our spirit, in our thoughts, in our actions, the world will come. But it's like, anyway, you mention Nigeria, say, they'll look at you 2 times. Twice! Meanwhile, we have all it takes. We have within us all it takes to do everything.
For me, there's more than a residue of colonialism in Nigeria, in our psyche as a nation. Until you're affirmed from abroad, Nigerians don't take you that seriously. They don't think you're fantastic. And there are examples. Chimamanda had been writing before the affirmation from Orange, the Orange Prize and the award. A lot of our musicians, even our movie makers, it's when somebody internationally says, thou art, then we suddenly wake
when
up
they called us Nollywood, everybody started,
thou art,
oh, wow,
thou art.
we have a film
That's
industry.
who we are. Burna Boy and all of our great, musicians can go out there and excel and be affirmed and feel good because they're outside. And that's when we write, oh, this person has been rated this and that and that and that. That's one. Secondly, remember the mafia that prevented Mohbad from rising. We have a system that excludes a lot of people. It's a caucus, and they don't allow you to get in there. Unless you go outside and you're from, then they think you have earned the right to be in that system. Then finally, you said, Nigeria, I'm responding here because this is what I wrote. Nigeria is already the stage where the world plays. Tell me which sector of human endeavor or area of human endeavor that we do not have excellent Nigerians there. We are excellent people. But you see, in home here, nobody sees you. And that's why a lot of people are emigrating. They're leaving. Because once they're there, they are given the world, the platform, they're given, it's like they get what they deserve.
A good example,
but here,
a good example is the chess guy. I mean, he's been doing amazing
He has been posting on his page today.
Amazing stuff.
I remember once he asked for funding and all that. He has been doing all through the year. They left him until he went to go and play chess there. Now everybody wants to snap picture with him.
I have studied it over the years.
Yes.
It's the pattern in Nigeria. It's ridiculous, right? But that's what it is.
For me, it's, the experience is personal, and I talk about my daughter a lot, about the things she's...
Happy birthday to her, by the way.
Happy birthday, happy birthday.
Yeah, I'll make sure that she sees this. And what makes it so interesting was, so painful for me, was, I mean, our story got broken when she was 14, you know, about how she built this app and, you know, was doing, I mean, is a tech ambassador in Nigeria. And it got picked up by a few newspapers and all that. And I think she did a few things on TVC and Ebony Life and all that. So the story was out there. So it wasn't like, you know, nobody knew. And just to be sure, because at that time she got some scholarship to go do a program at Oxford. And she needed a scholarship of about $10,000 or thereabout. It was, I mean, they sponsored her halfway, so she had to
get
raise the balance, you know. And as part of the process, it wasn't for us to fund it. They didn't expect the parents to fund it. They actually gave her a template that writes to institutions to sponsor it.
Story for the gods.
Oh, yeah.
So she came to me and said, Dad, what do we do? And I said, okay, what's your job? What's your father's job? Your father's job is a treasurer, right? So he knows bankers. So I gave her the names of all the tier 1 banks in Nigeria. And I said, write to them. I will deliver it on on your behalf. And I did. And none of them wrote back.
Of course, they will not write back.
They will not.
I could have told you that.
None of them acknowledged that, except the one bank. And I'll mention the name of the bank. That's Keystone Bank.
Oh.
They did. And they gave her $4,000.
Bless
wow.
them. Bless them.
Nice.
Bless them.
But
Well done, Keystone.
What changed was the BBC did a documentary on her. Okay.
Not NTA.
Well, no, it wasn't. No, it was the BBC. They did a documentary on her. 3 minutes documentary. It wasn't long. It wasn't long. But immediately the documentary was aired internationally. We, as the parents, started getting calls from schools in Europe, in the US, and they were calling us to say, we want to offer this girl scholarship.
Father Lord.
And eventually, so I at the point, I mean, here I am as a father. I wanted her to finish in school in Nigeria. I wanted to be patriotic. But then you have this guys coming in and saying, we want to be able to put money on your daughter. And eventually I had to pick one, you know, where she went to an international school in Europe and all that. That gave her a scholarship in 2 years that was worth 40,000 euros.
So
There you go.
Today, she has
Not
a
Nigerians.
special scholarship of Richard Smith. No, there's not Eric Smith, the chairman, former chairman.
Your heart must be bursting out
Really?
of the chest.
And she got
That's so nice.
the first Rice Award in Africa. I mean, globally.
He's not here.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
The point I'm trying to raise.
Let me go ahead.
The point I'm trying to make is the fact that Nigerian institutions had the opportunity of investing in.
They don't see past their nostrils.
And they saw a story, we wrote to them, but nobody paid attention. So it took institutions outside of the country who watched the 3-minute video of this girl to say, we want to invest in her. And that brings the story to us that exactly what we say, that we don't care about Nigeria.
We don't.
People will do things here.
We don't care about human development of our people.
And as long as we don't invest in them and other countries are investing in them, they'll be committed to this country.
Straight up.
Okay, I'm going to start with, a lot of people don't view development in infrastructural development through the lens of the cascading effects it has. I can remember last year when they were meant to host Afro Nation in Nigeria and it got cancelled because there was inadequate infrastructure to support it.
Of course.
The amount of economic activity, the amount of publicity hosting Afro Nation in Nigeria, the amount of income the country would have generated, amount of income everyday people would have generated from that event, it's quite huge. But we are where we are, like you said. We are not intentional about development. And we also have very poor maintenance culture, like Kate said, regarding, we actually have these amenities, but they are poorly managed, they are poorly run.
And left to rot.
It's so sad. Do we have anywhere that we can do an 800,000 people concert? It's not possible.
Where is our own arena?
Where's our O2?
Nothing like that. So, like you said, the government needs to it could be a mess. You know, have small event that the wedding that happened there a couple of weeks ago, it was a nightmare for road users. It was a nightmare for everybody.
It will be.
Yes.
The traffic,
that applies that route. So again, we need to do better. The government, the private sector, build this infrastructure, the economic activity will come.
There's more to development and a productive economy than meets the eye.
I agree, Bright. For any vision to be sustainable, accountability must be a central feature. 2 weeks ago, I advocated strongly for the preservation of the tax-exempt status of churches, regardless of abuse by few. Many argue that churches should be taxed for their commercial activities. I do not disagree, but this is already provided for in the Companies Income Tax Act, called CITA. But my advocacy today will be about accountability and transparency. The fact that a church is tax exempt doesn't shield it from the responsibility of accountability. They are as accountable to man as they are accountable to God. Did you know that Section 827 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act requires that where contributions are collected, financial statements must be kept and audited in accordance with the generally acceptable accounting practice, GAAP. Did you know that churches are, by provisions of CAMA and CITA, expected to file their annual returns to the CAC and their tax returns as well to the FIRS once a year? Did you know that it is required for them to have general meetings to present to members their annual report and approve alterations to constitution or appointments / the removal of trustees? Some will have us believe that they are only accountable to God and not man. Well, if that were true, why did they seek registration under a terrestrial law and not go to heaven to register? I digress. Even the great Apostle Paul was so conscious of accountability that he said in 2 Corinthians 8:20-21, which I quote, "We want to avoid any criticisms of the way we administer these liberal gift offerings. For we are taking pains to do what is right, not only in the eyes of God, but also in the eyes of man." Those who claim to be members of the community of faith shouldn't be seen to be against accountability. Rather, they should be the ones championing it. The very bedrock of our faith is accountability to God. If you know you've got nothing to hide and that your church expenses aligns with your object as stated in your constitution, then you shouldn't have a problem with being accountable and sharing that information in a transparent way with your financial members. After all, the church does not belong to you. It belongs to humanity.
The church belongs to the God of men, not men of God. I call them God of men. Because, you know, religion is the opium of the masses, especially here in Nigeria. So people don't even read their Bibles for themselves. They just listen and take the word of some man up there who tells them and chooses the words with which to blackmail them with. You said transparent. I say translucent. Because who is going to make them? Even all these things that you listed, I had no idea. So thank you for opening my eyes. But who is going to call the meeting? Who? The church belongs to them. There's nothing you can tell them. It doesn't belong to God.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that they're registered under laws. And those laws already compel.
Yeah, so but like
so the question is
Zumah always says, if you cannot effect, you just have a suggestion. I mean, what's that your quote?
A law without consequences.
A law without consequences, suggestion. So there are suggestions in Kama and Zita and everything. Nobody is making them do anything. So why should they?
As long as, like she said, as long as there's nobody to hold these people, there's no agency dedicated to hold these people accountable, ask them, okay, present for this month.
That's a good point.
It does, it's not there. So a lot of people understand. In fact, somebody said to me that if I find a pastor I'll invest.
Oh, yes.
If I find someone that can preach well like this, I'll invest my money. That's a good business. I'm sorry,
It is so sad.
But it's crazy.
It is sad.
I would like to reiterate a portion of your advocacy, Yinka. You said, and I quote, "Did you know that churches are by provisions of the CAMA and the CITA expected to file their annual returns to the CAC and their tax returns as well to FIRS once a year?" So I'm reiterating that for those who are watching us to hear that again, that it is a provision and it is your place to hold your worship center leaders to account. And I'm saying that in a political way.
Yeah,
You
that's
understand?
okay. I get you.
Yeah.
I
So
get
if
you.
we go to the word, scriptures, where our Lord Jesus said, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar." In modern times, who is Caesar? It's
Caesar
the
is the
government.
pastor. No, Caesar is the pastor. Caesar is the pastor.
Caesar should be the government.
Okay.
And he said, "Go look for a coin." They got the coin from a fish's mouth, and they did what?
They pay their tax.
Give to the government. So, no excuses anymore. Our churches are asking us to do right. They too must do right.
Is this just limited to churches, or does this include all religious institutions?
It's all faith-based organizations.
All
Faith-based, yeah.
And all non-government organizations.
So I think I can categorically say that the compliance level, if there is compliance at all, is very, very low.
Or non-existent.
Or, I don't want to say
No,
non-existent.
it is.
It is.
I mean, it's
Some
you're right,
maybe
some are
compliant.
compliant, yes.
And those things are very important. It's important for spiritual institutions to open up their books such that corrupt officials will not loot and go to church. Spiritual institutions, one, to wash the money, two, to buy spiritual goodwill. The books, it needs to be opened. And it's interesting that I had no idea that religious institutions are required to file annual returns. I'm sure a lot of these institutions don't also know that it is required of them. So maybe then more needs to be done in the space of advocacy to let them know what is expected of them, and also more in the space of citizenship, active citizenship, members demanding that the church open their books.
The law, as it is, doesn't demand them to be transparent. It demands them to be accountable, but not necessarily transparent about it. That there's no requirement of law to say put it on your website or stuff like that. But I think they can go further by, than just saying we're accountable.
Why not just have integrity?
We can also make it available. And I think that's a standard that we should all be.
Okay.
This is interesting. I learned something new. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Yinka.
Thanks. Judgment, they say, must begin in the house of God. I think it's time we take that seriously and start to do exactly what the Bible says.
Yinka, hang on to your gavel. I am inviting you to weigh in on this topic. Don't you think it's a high time men begin to talk too? Did you know that suicide is the leading cause of death for men aged 15 to 29? Did you know that men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women? Did you know that for every completed suicide, there are 20 unsuccessful ones? Did you know that 6 out of the 10 countries with the highest suicide rate are in Africa? Did you know that depression is a significant public health problem in Nigeria, which 7 million Nigerians currently suffer from? June may have been Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, but the conversation was not loud enough. And we cannot let this advocacy be limited to a single calendar month. For too long, men have been told to man up, bottle it in, don't cry, bury their feelings, and over time, they have come to internalize repressing emotions as strength. But emotions are energy. They don't vanish. They make us sick and show up in uglier ways. Depression and suicidal thoughts are not gender-specific. Yet, men are less likely to speak out or seek help. They'd rather work themselves to the bone, numb themselves with substances, or push loved ones away. This isolation makes it worse. Strength isn't about being emotionless. It's about confronting your fears. It's about feeling your emotions fully and expressing them in healthy ways. It's about talking about the stress, the anger, and the crushing weight of sadness. It is about taking control of your mental well-being. Seeking professional help isn't a weakness. It's an investment in yourself and your future. The battles you're facing, you are not alone. Speak out. Open ears are waiting to listen. Reach out to a friend, a family member, a therapist, whoever you trust. Sharing your burdens does not make you a burden. It's a path to healing. Men, it's time to talk. True strength lies in vulnerability. There is always a hand to hold. Let this be the year the tide turns. The year men rise above the stigma and fight for their mental health. It's time men talk too, and the world is ready to listen.
Well, I wrote down, for a nation as patriarchal as ours, we do not have enough advocacy for the menfolk. We don't have enough men speaking for men. We don't even have men speaking for boys, so let's even start from there. So it's quite alarming. And I know there's this thing, when they say society, I wonder, is it a group in the sky, on the ground, in the sea? It's human beings like you and I. Indeed, June last month, we had a program in church, which is like, I like my church because apart from preaching, there are normal programs where there are conversations. So we had a wellness expert, Majay, come, and he chose to talk about mental health. And a guy stood up and said he had slipped into depression. Successful. So it's not about him being poor. Top oil company, he was abroad, and then suddenly he just couldn't explain he wanted to take his own life. And there are the services of counseling being offered, but he didn't want to take it in the company, but he sought help elsewhere. And he said he was still, going through it. Rich, everything, so I don't know whether the men don't want to feel vulnerable to each other. Forget about the women, because they'll say our mouth is bad. We don't like to listen to them. But yourself, encouraging yourself, where one is, if my brother is down, I want to lift my brother up. But also there is that thing of trust. Is my matter safe with you, or you're going to go and broadcast me outside? And how well equipped are the professionals in the space? I think there's an organization called Mentally Aware.
Yeah.
But we don't have enough. And I don't know if it's just Nigeria or Africa, but there's a lot of burden placed on men, like a load that you dare not shift. It's like, I don't know if any of you does the plank. The plank is just, you just hold. You don't shift. And it's excruciating. It's hard. And indeed, you're right. Men need to talk. Speak out, and don't be ashamed, really and truly. Because a closed mouth is a closed destiny.
I know that culturally men are not supposed to wince, to show pressure, pain from pressure. But I think that's an archaic thing to do. If you're hurting, just say so. A lot of women have put pressure on their husbands as well. Our child needs to go to the abroad.
I have a story.
We need to be in this club. We need to be in that club. We have to be like the Joneses. You can't afford it. You're dying inside. And a lot of our men they crack within. And the next thing we see is they're jumping. And they're gone. Off the balcony, and they're gone. I think also, to speak to a bit of what Kate spoke about, this, and we've talked about it here once, mentorship.
Yes.
Men are not there for each other.
Yes, why?
They have the men's club, they're the ones who populate the clubs, yes? But still, there is a gap. How do you mentor people in being responsible fathers? We're back to responsibility.
Hey. They say it's the messengers, not the message.
Yinka looks at me curiously. How do we mentor people on fatherhood, on surviving the economy, on a lot of things. What you would do in worship centers when you have men's
fellowship,
men's this, men's that. What do you do if you're not offering? Bright, I don't like the way you look.
Bright is ready.
I'm just waiting for you.
There's an epistle here waiting to answer. Zumah.
People talk about.
This is the best topic.
Honestly,
If you see what he has written here.
what do you people talk about? And then you come at us and say, oh, women, you're always this,
mouth.
you're that.
Yeah.
We are looking after ourselves. You should do that. And seriously,
You have
speaking
said
now.
this thing before.
Yinka?
Okay.
So I highlighted a quote in your advocacy saying sharing your burden
Doesn't make you a burden.
doesn't make you a burden.
Yes, I love that.
And that's very important because the things we're dealing with here are what we call societal construct
yeah.
for the men. It didn't start today.
It's cultural.
It started from years and decades of social conditioning of the man. It's been told it can't talk. Men don't talk. It's women that talk. Men don't cry. It's weakness. It's women that cry. A man provides for his family, even if he has to die doing so. And what does the boy say growing up? He sees his father literally doing that. And he sees his mom, the homemaker. But he sees the mom cry, and then nobody cares. He sees the mom talks, so much, and then doesn't care. Nobody cares. But when the boy talks, everybody says, no, don't talk. For us to change that, we need to deconstruct that construct, that societal construct.
So why have you not done it?
And the way to start, if we can't start it with my generation, we're already done.
Yeah.
We're done. We are conditioned. We are programmed.
Professional
Bride's
defense.
generation.
So it has to start with the boy. And this is how it has to be.
We're done too.
It has to be. You have to start with the boy. And the way you start
That's what I said.
is that you are going to let the boy know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to talk. All right? When you have a younger girl who is 11, 12 or whatever, that girl at that age is already learning to build capacity because she can talk. Nobody is looking at her. She can express herself when she's overwhelmed. She knows how to deal with pain because she has a period, nobody knows, and then she carries it. She can multitask. She's cooking, she's taking care of Junior,
right.
she's doing all sorts of things. She's building capacity and she's getting educated. And so when that girl becomes, 18, 19, 20 and all that stuff, she's an alpha female.
Like your daughter.
That's it.
So,
That's it.
but then the boy, what happens to the
Perfect.
boy?
They get coddled.
The boy is told, don't enter kitchen, don't talk, don't cry, don't do anything. So it goes out, plays football, comes back.
I was just going to say, go and play football.
He has no skill, he has developed nothing, and then you now get that boy with no capacity to marry
the girl
a
with all the
girl
capacity.
with all the capacity. She's literally going
His
to
mother.
kill him.
No, either kill him or mother him.
So we have to learn to be vulnerable.
That's deep.
Most times your mother.
And the way to do it is that we have to start that deconstruct. And for older men like us, men have to talk to men.
Yes.
I think, first of all, I want to thank you for this topic because I feel like things like this don't come up a lot, right? I want to start with social media, which is where most of us spend most of our time, right? As you scroll through these pages, what do you see? Podcast, everybody now has a podcast.
Yes,
90% of the time you're hearing, men are scum, you're this, you cannot afford to do this. No matter
Pressure.
what, do you understand the level of, I'm talking about a young single man, for example.
Advert, ladies.
No.
Unattached.
What they experience every single day. There's no matter how much you're able to try, it's not good enough. It's never good enough. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you try for yourself, for your family, no matter how much you try to give, it's not good enough. Now, like you said, it's something that you said about, we remove ourselves, we try to isolate our family and friends. We do that to protect ourselves. Because the less information they know about you, the more opportunity you get. That's what we don't understand. If I come and tell my guy now, bro, man, it's hard. He's not going to call me the next time there's something happening. No, come on, bribe, we're going to the club. And probably the club is where I probably go to meet the next guy that's going to, it's like, nah, he's not getting money. Don't call him.
I don't think that is true. I don't know.
He's telling you from a mindset guy.
I'm telling you what we're going through. Like this is fact. Like the more if you come out and you talk about what you're going through, whether it's because 90% of the time, because of the demand that is placed on you, it drives towards financial.
Yeah.
Men have been conditioned to provide.
So when do you, my question is to you, Brian, when do you get off the merry-go-round? When do you get off the carousel?
But
when do you get real?
There is no getting off something that is part of a system. Like,
are you saying he's going to get...
The only way you get off is to off yourself. And that's why people, that's why people do that.
Off themselves.
That's why they off themselves. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not done.
You.
That's why they off themselves. I can tell you there's certain times, maybe back in the days, not now, where I've never been suicidal, say I will kill myself, but I've been in a position where I'm like, if it happens now, I'm good. It's like, maybe I'm in a car and I have an accident, like, let it happen now, it's okay. I'm not going to do it, and I can tell you a lot of men are thinking that, like, if this house falls on top of our head now, let it fall. But I'm okay. The pressure that society put on you, and then the women are not helping. In fact, you guys make it worse.
It's not all women, please.
I'm just saying. I'm not
qualified, like I qualified responsible men. You must qualify.
I'm not generalizing.
No, you must qualify. You said the women.
Okay,
you should say some women.
Responsibly women.
Yeah.
Most women.
Yes.
Most women.
Thank you.
Most women make it worse. They make it worse.
Which kind of women are you going after?
No, it's not. Like I said, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about what's happening.
No, not you. Which kind of women are you men going after? You start her off with her throat open like this.
Exactly, and then
you come at her with everything, and then you tell her she should not buy her wig. Meanwhile, you bought her 5 when you were dating her. You have to calm her down from beginning.
So when you look at all of these demands that are placed on, and like Yinka said, you don't give us an opportunity to have the capacity because it's like, just go and do whatever you want to do. We don't have what it takes to be able to go out there and make money. Especially now, there's focus so much on girl child, empower the girl child, like train the girl child.
We've been down for too long.
They're less focused on the guys. And then at the end of the day, they take the entire burden and say, okay, you have to carry it. And you don't have the capacity to carry it. You'll be overloaded by it. And then you're depressed, and then you're confused, and then you're like, you know what, let me just end this.
Bryce, can I give you a hug? Thank you for the candid conversation, because this was a
Bright is always candid when it comes to those kind of things.
Silence doesn't mean that emotions and trauma will go away. It's always good to talk.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Zumah, we can certainly teach the men a thing or two in that department. However, I'm neither on the side of the men, responsible or not, or the women. I am on God's side. I remember watching a documentary on the renowned reggae star Bob Marley. It was interesting to find out that his father was a Caucasian, and the legend was treated as an outcast while growing up. In Jamaica, his homeland, he was neither accepted as black nor white. He stated that he was neither on the black side nor the white side, but on God's side, the one who created him. That in itself set the tone for his music and spoke volumes to me. Nigeria has been described as the only country that has churches and mosques on virtually every street corner, every Sunday, every Friday, like clockwork. These places of worship are filled to the brim. The piety on the faces is something to behold. At the end of service, all will step out gorgeously dressed into another world and continue in their deception and wicked ways. Whose side are you on? When you are in a position to award contracts and you inflate the amount to get a hefty cut, whose side are you on? When you disobey the traffic signs and decide to drive like a banshee, whose side are you on, I ask? When you knowingly deprive your people of their basic needs, the same people who vote you into power, who are we fooling? The Bible says that our holiness is like filthy rags before God. He's not fooled. If truly we were on the God's side, Nigeria would be a place where the people need not suffer untold hardships, as is the case It is indeed a land flowing with milk and honey, but greed, I'm tired of saying the same thing, selfishness, corruption have taken a huge grip over this nation like a strong vice. It's really not that hard to do the right thing, but it is a lot easier to do wrong. Some of us, when we go to the UK, we stand in line on the escalator heading into Terminal 3 at Heathrow. Some on the right, you stand on the right, you walk on the left. Yet when we arrive home, it's like his spirits, just takes over and orderliness is thrown out the door. I want us to get back to the place where we truly are our brother's keeper. Let's ponder on this question, and that includes all of us here. Whose side are we on? Are we on God's side?
I am on the Lord's
I
side.
try to be on God's side most of the time. We can only try. We can't.
Yeah, you try. You can't be perfect. Only God is perfect.
But yeah, a lot of people are on their personal interest side. Nigerians, I'm going to limit this conversation to Nigerians. We are very self-focused.
Yes.
We don't think about the consequences of our action on other people. We are very situationally unaware. We don't think about the next person. We don't think, you see people on the road just standing in the middle of the road, not thinking about the fact that people need to pass the road and for them to move. You see people park inappropriately, not thinking about the fact that another car needs to park. We don't even have disabled parking.
Disabled are not people now. That's why they don't think about them.
How much we are unaware and how much we don't care about one another. We all need to do better. We need to be intentional about being more aware. We are not existing in a vacuum. The world is for all of us to exist in harmony and equitably, if possible. So we should try as much as possible not to consume too much space. And this includes not consuming too much space is you inflating a contract so you could get a cut. Because that is not your cut. Yeah. That is not your space. You're trying to infringe on somebody else's space. That's it.
Right.
I mean, if we all think
you're going to speak last because
I think you said, life would be way, way easier. I posted a video last week, and it was a guy just saying every 100 years there are a new set of people in the world. And if we get to see that we're just a crew of people, and you should be excited that I'm with you. We're together. We're in the same crew.
We're doing well together at the same time.
We're in the same crew in the world at this time, because after 100 years, we're all going to leave.
Yeah, so
and it's a whole new set that will come in. And just the fact that, I'm here with you and you're here with me, it's like we're a team, right? If we see things from that perspective, life will be way, way, way better. We live in a society where if it's not close to you, then you don't feel it.
I wrote here, corruption is a culture in Nigeria today. And whether you like it or not, it's the reality. It's either someone is opening an eatery, the door to an eatery for you, and is telling you, well done, sir. He's expecting something from you. When you see a policeman, especially the police, they say, all right, sir,
we are here for you.
You're paying for that greeting.
Your boys are here. It is a culture. So it is not only the leaders, even we, the followers. So many times when I say the problem with this country is also of the followers, people take me up and say, no, it's the leaders. Where do you get the leaders? Isn't it one of us who becomes leaders?
Your advocacy reminded me of a line in Michael Jackson's song Black and White, the rap by Bill Bottrell, which says, there's a line that says, I'm not going to spend my life being a color. Remember that?
I'm not going to spend a life being a colored, yes. Yeah, I remember that.
And the reason it stands out to me is about the concept of ownership. The fact that you can decide to be classified, split into bits and pieces, the us versus them, and then live your life like that, or leave society or run government like that, which is essentially what we have. Or you can decide that, well, let's take ownership of this nation. So what has happened over time, and all of you are right about all these issues, whether it's a church or that's people, whatever, but what the politicians have successfully done is that they've been able to split us into us versus them. So it's either, your problem is not, so in Lagos, no, your problem is not the Yoruba man, it's the Igbo man. Okay, in the north, your problem is not the Muslims; they are the Christians, or you know. So they've succeeded in doing that, and the average Nigerian doesn't take ownership of anything. So he doesn't take ownership of government property because he doesn't believe it belongs to him. He doesn't take ownership of policies that are supposed to move the country forward because he thinks it doesn't believe, you know. So the place to start is for us to have an identity of ownership. What makes you a Nigerian? And as long as we have not answered that question in unison, everybody, regardless of your religion, your tribe, your ethnicity, or your gender, if you don't answer that basic question, who is a Nigerian or what makes you a Nigerian, we'll always have this conversation.
Unless we become people of conviction, walking the talk, we will fail to make impact, both as citizens and human beings. It begins with having those big conversations here at the table, same time, 8 p.m., same channel, to take on fresh topical issues. Till then, it's goodbye from all of us. Sayonara.
Odabo.
Bye.
Odabo. See, now I'm speaking my language.
Well done.